Yes, ma'am. How are you?
I'm
Um,
good. I'm good. How are you? It's so good to see you instead of
Likewise.
talking to you on the phone.
I'm telling you, happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Yes, same to you. Same to you.
Let's jump right into it. You know, first week. What are your thoughts after conferring with teachers? What are your thoughts as leader of the teachers union, just about how the school year is going so far and what we can expect?
Yes, but first, can I give a shout out to Principal Rosado and her
Oh, yeah.
wonderful staff? Because I am a former Savoy Tiger. I was a kindergarten teacher at Savoy for many years, and I treasured the staff there and the families and the community that I worked with at Savoy. So first, shout out for them, and I wish them a wonderful and safe school year. So I had to do that first.
Definitely, definitely.
Especially as a former Tiger. But just want to say the teachers are eager and excited to be back. They know that many of our students, they did a wonderful, heroic job teaching the kids virtually and rising to the occasion of learning all the new things they had to learn with technology. But they know that many of our students, especially those in underserved communities, suffered over 18 months learning virtual. So they're ready to go back, but we also know that there's a lot of angst and nervousness regarding the pandemic. And so I feel like it's my job to support them as much as possible and relieve some of that anxiousness by making sure that if we support vaccinations and that we make sure that if people don't vaccinate, that they test. We're happy that we're not going through any of the issues that some of our locals in other parts of the country are going through. We know that everybody has agreed that we need to mask. We're also putting a lot of effort into making sure our HVAC systems are up and working because we know that's the best way to mitigate the spread of this virus. We're also pushing social distancing, and besides cleaning, the last thing that we want to make sure is that we have contact tracing, because we already know that we've had some small outbreaks in parts of the city already. And the best thing that we can do is that when we find that there's an outbreak, that we let the community know, and that we, if we need be, quarantine.
Definitely. And I really like how you brought up that, DC is somewhat different from other jurisdictions. Chancellor Farabee, in just allaying people's concerns on Monday, really asked that parents think about how DC is special in some ways, given the fact that, things haven't really broken out like it might have happened in other cities. What I
Right.
want to focus on, for the time being is, just you as the leader of the teachers union, you often, lead them in negotiations, with the school and making sure that, teachers going to school with an understanding of, how they're going to navigate the classroom. Could you just, speak to us about that process? Earlier or like late last month before they returned, a memorandum of understanding was signed. Just speak to us as much as you can, like what goes into that process with like negotiating on both sides and making sure that everybody comes to the table with a clear understanding of, what teachers are doing during the school day.
Right. Well, I'm happy to say that we were able to get the memorandum of agreement, the MOA signed, and the checklist. There's a walkthrough checklist. We were able to get all of that signed with DCPS the Monday, and I guess we signed it on Monday, and the teachers started Friday. So we were very happy about that, and we had a wonderful team of people who worked all summer to make sure that we put in place all the protocols and procedures that we felt would keep everyone safe during what we know is, the Delta variant that's out there. And then we don't know what else could be out there that would put our safety in jeopardy. So as I said before, the what we spent a lot of time on was the HVAC. because we found from talking to our experts with the American Federation of Teachers and the Black Coalition Against COVID that the best thing that you can do to mitigate this virus is to make sure that there's constant fresh air going in and bad air going out, and also making sure that you have CO2 monitors throughout the school, because that gives you a readout of such things as the oxygen level, the CO2 level, and then also the virus, the infection rate level. And that's something that we weren't even thinking about last fall. We were thinking that if we kept everything clean and we masked, that we'd be okay and take everyone's temperature. We've learned so much over these last 18 months that it's actually the HVAC systems, along with masking, social distancing as much as possible. We all know it's getting vaccinated or tested, and then also making sure you contact trace, and that's what we really are going to have to focus on as we move into October, November, and December. Because right now we're lucky we can get outside and we can eat outside. And I'm encouraging everyone, when possible, teach outside too. But we know there's going to come a point where we're going to have to go inside. And my greatest worry as a kindergarten teacher is that we have a population that right now can't be vaccinated because of their age. And we want to keep them as safe as possible.
Definitely. I just want to thank you for that answer.
Thank you.
And a lot of science involved, in terms of air circulation and making sure that the air around us is clean. If you don't mind, I wanted to pivot real quick to impact, just given the report that came out from DCPS about racial equity, and given the independent study that American University released. At this point, what is the game plan? Well, first, what do you sense what do you sense as the opinions and the temperature, from teachers around the city about impact, as an evaluation system? Do you see teachers being enthusiastic about it being used this year, given that it's our first year back in the building,
Well, we know that teachers want to be evaluated, but they want to be evaluated fairly. And we also want an evaluation system that's good for kids. And we've learned with the release of the American University report that impact is neither. It's definitely, a lot of teachers don't understand it. It doesn't help with their professional growth. And they don't see the connection between how they're teaching and the growth of their kids. And to learn, particularly as a woman of color, that we're continuing to use an evaluation system that we know is racially biased. And we know that the DCPS has said they're going to make reforms, but how does that help? People of color? To me, if you know that something is racially biased, you get rid of it. You find another system. And we've been using this system for over 10 years. And in what we know about impact, we've seen growth in some areas, but we have not seen the growth necessary in underserved communities. And a lot of places where we don't have teachers who come and stay and get the support that they need are in those underserved communities. There's a constant revolving door in those communities. And I speak from experience because I've spent many of my years as a teacher in underserved communities, particularly in Ward 8. And so we need to support those teachers. I think DCPS does a wonderful job. They get the best and the brightest from around the country to come and teach in the District of Columbia. But we haven't done such a wonderful job in keeping them. Every year we lose up to 600 something teachers. If you lose 600 teachers every year, by the time you go through 2 years, you've lost a quarter of your teaching force. And so we need to make very serious reforms. And in my opinion, if you know that something is discriminatory, you get rid of it.
In terms of teacher retention, like the 600 teachers leaving, every year, do you find that happening east of the river or in so-called low-performing schools often?
Well, They're a lot of times, like I said, in underserved communities, which for us could be in Ward 5, 7, and 8, where we have the turnover, particularly in Ward 7 and 8, where I've lived it, where I've been in, like I said, in certain schools where I've taught, where like I said, you get the best and the brightest, but we are not, we haven't figured out how to keep teachers. And I know I can't believe I'm saying this, but by next year I'll have 29 years as a DCPS teacher. And I believe I came and stayed is because I had mentoring from veteran teachers. I had excellent professional development, and I also had administrators that were very supportive. I mean, to the point where I would even name names. I had a principal named Robert Bracey who made it possible for me to go to graduate school at George Washington University to get a master's degree in bilingual special education. I want what I had as a new teacher coming into the district in 1993. I want those same things for the teachers that enter the school system now.
Wow. So once again, congrats. 29 years. That's a very
long
time. Many blessings.
Wonderful years.
Definitely. I'm curious to know, in the interim, given everything that you said, how do we go about administering impact, if at all, this year? If we know that, there's racial bias, and that teachers might not be getting, the coaching or the mentorship that they might need to improve on their scores?
Well, like I've said, if it's almost like we knew Jim Crow needed to go. If you know something is racially biased, you got to say we got to get rid of it. What we're doing right now at the WTU is we have an impact committee, and we know it's not enough for us just to complain about something. You got to complain about it, but you also have to say what can replace it. We've been working with school systems in Pittsburgh and in Cleveland, where they've had a lot of success with their evaluation systems. We have a team of teachers working based on the information we've gotten from those two cities in order to figure out what evaluation system would be best for our teachers. And so, and then we're also thinking about what other things we can do to say that, how can we get the teachers the mentoring they need, the professional development they need, and all those things that we know will help to get teachers here and keep them here, particularly in our underserved communities.
I'm very excited to hear about that in the future, and I'm hopeful that we'll get to talk more about that as updates come. President Lyons, just thank you so much for your time today and your candor. I really appreciate it, and it's very good to see you in person, at least virtually. Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you for asking me to join you, and I would love to talk more with you about impact.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Peace.
Thank you.